Welcome to the IAS Employee Spotlight interview, where we highlight the extraordinary people working at NC State University Industry Expansion Solutions. I'm your host, Shelby Combs, Public Communications Specialist. In this episode, I'll be talking with IAS Director of Data Management Systems, Supplier Matching and Reporting, KeanneHoeg. Welcome, Kean. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. I'm in privileged company with the other extraordinary people that we work with here.
Yes, yeah. First question, please tell me what the typical day is for Director of Data Management Systems, Supplier Matching and Reporting.
I think that a typical day would be that there is no typical day, and I'm sure you hear that a lot, but essentially I'll go in thinking, okay, maybe there's a report that I have to write, and so I'll be focusing on that. And then there are supplier matches that are coming in or supplier scouting requests, and Eric and I will review those. There will usually be something in Salesforce that Amanda's working on that we'll need to review and go over and answer questions about. And then as everyone knows, we're always doing something with the MEP reporting process, or someone always wants a report from us. So working with Jim to make sure that all that is handled smoothly. Like, for example, right now we just started the survey process. So, but then that's what I think I'm going to do. And then there might be 4,000 other things like, we need information on this, or a question came in and we need to drop everything and try to answer that question. So it keeps it very interesting.
Yeah. So I've been here for I want to say 5 years, 6 years. And you were one of the first people I met, I remember. Could you tell us how long you've been at IES, how your role has developed over time?
Yes. So I like to tell people I was born here chiefly because I just in August celebrated 23 years at IES. I
Yeah.
wasn't even married or had a child when I started working here. So this was my second full-time job ever. And I never in a zillion years thought I would be here for 23 years, but I love it. So what I came here to do initially is I wanted to get into web development because my background is in English, and I decided I didn't want to teach. And then I decided that I no longer wanted to become a college professor. And so I thought, well, I need to do something. So I had been taking a graduate course in technical writing, and I realized that I really liked web design and web development at that point. And so I wanted to move more in that direction. And it turned out that there was a temporary position that was opening up here because the prior web developer had left. And so I met with the IT director at that time and came on temporary. And then 6 months later, I became a permanent employee. And then, so I worked in IT on all the systems at that point. You'll hear it was the IES website. It was the old internal CRM system. We had a lot of other things that we came up with, the staff directory, just a lot of internal applications. We had a few other public websites. And then over time, especially as I went to graduate school, my interest started to shift into data and information and how better to find the answers to questions we have, how better to understand our client base. And so a lot of what I did started moving into the marketing arena, and I actually moved into that department. And so we were trying to develop at the time, we called it optimistically a CRM system. It was really more at that point just a reporting system, but we realized that, we have a lot of client data, and we can use that to help us target our marketing to make better decisions. And so we started working on how can we use that data? What other information would we like to collect? How can we use what we're learning from clients to structure the website better? And then I became in charge of that function as far as the reporting and the application function. And then from there, it just continued to grow. And so now I and my team, we're keeper of the data, we're keeper of the information. I like to tell people that we know where the bodies are buried. And a lot of times if you come I tell everyone, come to me if you have a question, and I will find the answer. If I don't have the answer, I will find it for you, whether it's a question about why do we do things a certain way, or what's the history of XYZ, or do you know how many manufacturers are in a certain county, or why does MEP ask us the question the way that they do on the survey. We will answer the question or find the answer for you, or put you in touch with someone who can answer that.
Awesome. What is the most rewarding part of your job, would you say?
Oh goodness. I think the most rewarding part of my job is right now knowing that, especially since we're working so much with the supplier matching and those extra funds, knowing that we have identified and vetted a potential supplier for a client and that it's met their needs and that we're keeping business preferably within North Carolina, but if not, at least within the country and helping with those efforts. But more than that, finding an answer to someone's question is probably the most rewarding thing. And then knowing that we can use that information to make decisions.
Yeah. What's one of the challenges you've overcome in your position?
I think right now there's so much possibility and there's limited amount of time, and so I think trying to figure out how to rein back in everything I want to do, all the information I want to collect, a lot of the what I call thinking work, to sit down and write things up, and I want to do it all, and I've had to realize that I cannot do that and do better at delegating to my wonderful team and to other people. And sometimes if an idea doesn't get picked up, well, all right, that's fine. And just accept that I can't do it all and that we can't do it all here. There's just not enough time to do
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. You're definitely capable of doing it all. You just can't. What skills or qualities do you think are most important to succeed in your role?
One thing that I think I can do well that is that helps that I'm not an engineer and I love all my engineering coworkers. I can see, maybe this is because of the English background and all those years writing research papers, but I can see both the big picture and I can see the details. And so a lot of times, because I'm not as narrowly focused on a certain area or looking for a certain helping a client with a very specific need, I can sort of zoom out and I can try to see some connections between some information that may not be as obvious to other users. So I think, but then I can then take that information and then try to distill it down and figure out how can we get from point A to point B, or what would we need to do to start using that information. So I think just being able to see that kind of bigger picture, and I think my distance from engineering, not having that engineering background, can help me see things a little bit differently.
Oh yeah, for sure. Get to the personal stuff. What kind of hobbies and interests do you have outside of work?
Oh goodness. Well, I do enjoy reading. I read a lot. I'll read anything a lot, like not just books, but I'm a major consumer of information. I love to laugh and watch memes and look at memes and find memes. I love to just read articles in Slate and Salon or CNN or anything. I'll just consume information. But I'm recently trying to start reading more, and so keeping track of what I read. I'll read any kind. I'll read nonfiction. I'll read fiction. I'll read stuff people consider to be lowbrow literature, historical, anything. I'll if it catches my interest, I'll read it. Also, I watch TV. I like to watch a lot of again, things that make me laugh, but I also like to watch documentaries. A lot of times TV's on in the background, just as I'm doing things around the house. I like to write. I've always liked to write. I have no aspirations of becoming the next, great American novelist or anything, but I do like to write. It's how I process my thoughts and my feelings. And for a long time, I've had a blog, probably since about 2006. But I've also started getting back into taking writing classes so I can, I guess, strengthen those muscles again. And I actually had a piece. It's a short piece. I guess you might call it flash fiction that is published in Johnston County. That's where I live. They have the Arts Council has produced a book of art and things like that. And I had a piece that was accepted into it. And so
Yeah.
it's not a huge deal, but being able to hold that book and go, I'm in here. There's a picture of me and my bio and what I wrote. And so I'm just having fun with that. And like I said, it's a great way for me to process what's in my head. And then also, if anyone follows me on Facebook, that when there are major astrological events that are coming, I will usually write and analyze and try to help people understand what that major transit or eclipse or whatever might mean for them, especially Mercury retrograde. We're all pretty sensitive to that one. So I have a lot of fun with that.
Your book, there's only one copy?
Well, I have a copy. You can get more copies. I mean, and anybody can get a copy.
I'm gonna have to get one.
Okay, yeah, they're selling it as a fundraiser for the Arts Council in Johnston County.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Do you have a favorite book? Your
Pride
favorite
and
book of all time?
Prejudice.
Say that
Pride and
again.
Prejudice is my favorite. Jane Austen's Pride
Okay.
and Prejudice.
Do you think the movie did it justice?
I am very much a fan of the BBC miniseries with
Okay.
Colin Firth as Mr. Darcy. When he comes out of the water and the shirt's all plastered down to him because yes, no, yes, that is my
Yeah.
favorite version. I
Awesome.
just think there's so much going on in that the miniseries version really captures it. That
Mhm.
I haven't seen the most recent version, mainly out of choice because I just don't think you can. I don't think perfection can be improved upon. In the
Yeah.
BBC miniseries is perfection.
Yeah. Would you like to share a little bit about your personal life? Where you grew up, where you went to school? Do you have any siblings, children?
Okay. So I am a North Carolina native. I grew up in Davie County, in Mocksville, North Carolina, in an area of the county that's very close to Iredell, and they colloquially call it Turkey Foot. That is not the township of the name, but anyway, I grew up on a dirt road. There were two other houses. That was in a very rural area. There was one high school in my county. And we had to drive about 20 minutes to get to it. There was like one grocery store nearby that, again, we had to drive through. And it was not a farm. It used to be a farm. It was an old tobacco farm and then a dairy farm. But so I grew up, I was surrounded by a lot of family in a rural area. And then after high school, I went to Meredith College where I majored in English. I was a teaching fellow who, as I mentioned, I decided not to teach. I was going to teach high school English with a focus on world lit because nobody wants to teach world lit because they don't feel as prepared to tackle non-American or British authors and writing. And I was like, bring it on. I thought it was fascinating. And so that was what I thought. And then I realized I don't want to teach.
Yeah.
So that's when I started thinking I need to do something else, something that piques my interest. And what I really liked about web design and development at the time was it was in its very simplest times. And I'm not, even though I write, I don't describe myself as like a creative writer. Like that's not what I went to school for. Again, I have no claims to want to be the next great American novelist. But when I looked at HTML at the time, to me, it was like it had a grammar, it had syntax, it had punctuation that had to be. So it was very much like language, like the English language, learning French or learning German, which I also studied, and then learning English and learning how to structure a sentence. And so web development is very much like that. But it also, I thought this was fascinating. It also literally allowed you to make pictures out of words. And that just really captured my imagination. And so that's why I started to move into that direction. But I'm not a programmer by any means, shape, or form, nature, which is why at about 2005, I started thinking, okay, this has been fun. I don't necessarily want to stay in web development because I'm not a hardcore programmer. I'm not going to stay up for hours drinking Red Bull or whatever and just, trying to push myself to those limits, as I have no interest in that. But so I decided on, when I was looking at graduate school, I decided on library science because at the time, books, go work in a library, a public library. How wonderful is that? And then when I got to library science at Chapel Hill, I realized very quickly that I did not want to be a public librarian as well. But that's because it's a 48 semester hour program. And I took it part-time, which it wasn't really set up to do, but thanks to the flexibility at IES, I was able to do that. They also have you write a master's paper, and it's also housed in it's information science and library science. And so you're able to take courses on both sides. And that's when I realized I really like research. I really like data. I like information. I like trying to figure out how the answers to the questions and where to find the answers to the questions and to help. And so I eventually graduated with my master's in science and library science. And a lot of people ask, well, why didn't you go to NC State? Well, there isn't a library school at NC State. There are actually I think there are only 3 programs, library science graduate programs in the state. And UNC's is not just the best in the state. It is one of the best in the country, and usually is tied with Michigan or Illinois for number one. So just down the road, we have a really, really great library science and information school.
Yeah.
So that was the end of any of like my educational aspirations as far as formal education. I've toyed with the idea of maybe when I'm retired, maybe I'll go back and finish that master's in English or literature or something like that, but it would just be for fun. I have no further educational desires. Let's see, I got married in 2001 to my college sweetheart. We met at Meredith, which, yes, is a women's college.
Yeah.
Met him during Boy Day.
Mm.
He came to visit a friend and met him. And then that was pretty much it. And we got married in 2001. And we had our son in 2009. And he is 14 going on 30, at least in his mind. Yeah, he's very sassy. His name is Daniel. He likes Doctor Who. He likes other things. It's been fun to watch him get into things and try to explain things. Like, he gets so upset when he encounters a video and there's a commercial, and I'm like, oh, you have no idea. Like, this is a few seconds. We used to have nothing to do but watch the commercials. There was no other option. So that's been fun to see how he's adapted to modern life now. And then in 2020, my husband died unexpectedly, and so we're almost at the 3-year anniversary of that. It'll be November 1st, and so just dealing. Of course, that all happened at the height of the pandemic, and so dealing with being a widow, and now I have a teenager, and trying to work and trying to do all that. So, and I have 3 cats, and 2 of them are actually sitting here next to me. I have 2 rag dolls who are just cuddle bugs, big fluffy cuddle bugs. And then I have a British short hair who, if she ever goes missing, I'm going to have to go to Fiona's house because Fiona loves her. And so I will have suspicions in that area. So if you wonder what a British short hair looks like, if you've ever watched the old Pet Sematary, the cat in Pet Sematary was a British short hair. Or they think that Lewis Carroll based the Cheshire Cat on a British short hair. So she's mouthy, she's very chatty, she's petite, and she likes to run out of the house like she did this morning.
Yeah. Is that the one who makes surprise visits on Zoom?
Yes, usually yes.
Yeah. Let's see, rapid fire question time.
Okay.
Favorite TV show?
Law and Order reruns. Every Monday, everyone knows that from 5 o'clock on, it's BBC America, and the original, they call it the mothership, Law and Order reruns. If not that, then you can also find me watching SVU, and they have started showing reruns of Criminal Intent. So I'm a Law and Order junkie.
Yeah. Favorite movie?
Oh gosh. Anything with Daniel Day-Lewis. Daniel is partially somewhat named after Daniel Day-Lewis.
Really? I didn't know that. Favorite food?
Oh, I'm gonna say
this one always stumps people. They never know.
I like Mexican food, so let's go with the cuisine. Okay.
Favorite sport?
If I'm not a sports person, but if I were to pick a sport, I would pick hockey. And we did have season tickets in the past, and I was actually there in 2006 when they won the cup. Oh, awesome. And I've kissed the cup and fondled the cup because when they brought it around that year, before they stopped letting people touch it. So I have pictures of me, I'm like touching and groping the cup.
Favorite genre of music?
I have gotten back into music, and I like a lot of different types of genres, but I am becoming old, and I'm very partial to the grungy alternative of my 90s disaffected youth. I saw 9 Inch Nails for the second time in concert 2 years ago, and that was great.
Is that your favorite band?
They're one of them. I have a hard time naming favorite bands, but I'm a grunge girl at heart. So give me some angst. I'm there.
Great. Favorite location in North Carolina?
Atlantic Beach. We go to the beach twice a year, and I know that may seem weird considering that I freckle and I'm pretty pale, but I have to go to the beach. It's something, it's a need deep inside of me and primordial. I have to go and touch the water and be in the sunshine and freckle up. And one day when I have all these major wrinkles, at least I'll know I got them for a good reason.
Yeah. Do you have a personal motto or mantra or favorite quote that you would like to share with our audience?
I meant to think about this. I'm sure after this, I'll think of like 14 more that I'd like actually even better. And some of my personal models I can't say publicly because they're not socially acceptable.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that I come to more and more and more is, perfect is the enemy of good enough.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, that's the end of our interview. If you have anything else to add, to share, now would be the time.
I don't eat chocolate.
Really? Why?
No. When I was 13 or 14, I had a bad experience with a chocolate chip cookie, and it may not have been the chocolate chip cookie, but it was the only thing outside of my routine that day. And I got sick later on, and my brain associated it with chocolate. And so I have not been able to eat dark chocolate, regular chocolate in, oh my gosh, like over 30 years. I have no desire for it. I'll cook with it. I'll make things for people, but I don't touch it.
What do you do for sweet cravings?
Sweet is not something I have a lot of craving of. I like salt and vinegary sour things, but if I were to have something sweet, I've gotten into mango popsicles or sorbet.
Mm.
And also I will make I do like butterscotch and caramel, so I will make like blondies, and I'll have some of those. As a matter of fact, a few weeks ago I made a pan, and you could have found me at like 2 a.m. in my kitchen just like cutting
Yeah.
them and eating. Really good.
Yeah. That's why I can't have a lot of candy at my house. I just eat it in one sitting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're very
All right.
welcome.